I never really liked the Mega Man as a kid. I just thought maybe it was too impossibly hard. I had the first two games and I beat the second one. Eventually I bought Mega Man X and I beat that, but I missed out on Mega Man's 3 through 8 as well as the subsequent sequels, X2 and all the other series that came after it. But you know, one of the greatest regrets I have is never actually beating the first Mega Man. So I guess now it's time to play Mega Man until we win. When I started doing research for this video, I was absolutely freaking amazed at the number of series Mega Man is in. I mean, he's second only to Mario in the number of different game series he's been. I mean, check this out. There's the Classic Series, X, Legends, Battle Network, Zero, ZX, and Star Force. Oh, but those are just the different Mega Man series out there. Each series has 2 or more games, and the Classic and X series have been remade, remastered, and remixed so many times it hurts my head to count. If you include all the console, portable, cell phone, and even PC games, Mega Man has been in 114 different games. Holy hell! But this is the one that started it all, Mega Man on the NES. There are a few things that make this game difficult to play. For starters, there's no password system like in Mega Man 2. There are no continues either. You get 3 lives. Once all 3 lives run out, that's it. Game over. You go back to the beginning. This game, like most of the other difficult to play games, does not screw around. The good thing about this game is that the initial stages aren't really that difficult, and the Robot Masters can be beaten with little effort if you know what weapons to use. Now, I think we all follow the same pattern when trying to beat this game. You kill Gutsman, you use his power to throw bricks at Cutman, throw the Rolling Cutter at Elec Man, use the Thunder Beam to kill Iceman, the Ice Slasher to kill Fireman, who by the way is a pain in the ass, use Firestorm to kill Bomb Man, and then you take on Dr. Wily. The stages themselves aren't anything interesting, and really they're just there to act as a tutorial for the last stage. The bosses are another story though. Gutsman's stage is pretty easy to get through. The first part will probably bend your mind a bit. It's basically just classic moving platform action, but beyond that, the level's pretty simple. Gutsman himself is probably the easiest of the Robot Masters because he takes a lot of damage from your regular blaster. The trick with him is that he likes to jump up and down, causing the screen to shake and making you lose your balance. The only way to avoid being crushed by him is to jump at the exact right moment. Too soon, you'll land when the screen's shaking and lose your balance. Too late, and you'll never get off the ground. You've got to be just right. Fortunately, after a few hits, Gutsman will go down pretty easily. Cutman's stage is pretty straightforward. Although there are these oven-looking things that spit out scissors, you can just walk by them and they'll never bother you. Cutman himself is pretty easy too, even if you don't have the super arm. Of course, since we're pro gamers now, we have the super arm and we can take him out in only 2 hits. That's not too shabby, huh? Elec Man's stage is where the platforming starts to get a bit dicey. You'll need some expert timing and pixel-perfect jumps to make it past even the first screen. From here, the difficulty only ramps up. One important lesson I've learned is that these green things can actually be shot down before they shoot at you, making the climb up these ladders much easier. Also, I recommend not going to this stage before you've beaten Gutsman, because there's a power-up you absolutely need to get. Otherwise, Dr. Wily's stage is impossible to beat. We'll also be taking advantage of it in the next stage. Elec Man himself is, again, relatively benign if you have the right tool. Hit him with the Rolling Cutter twice, and down he goes. Iceman's stage is where the platforming kicks into high gear. This is the second stage where we have to put up with those disappearing blocks that Mega Man is famous for, but the timing and the pattern is all over the place. That's why you want to use the special platform creation gun that you picked up in Elec Man's stage. Get up to a certain height, make a platform, and skip these crazy blocks. Iceman himself isn't anything remarkable. Hit him with the Thunder Beam twice and you've beaten him. Fireman stage has some classic platforming action. You need precision jumps while you try to avoid fireballs falling from the sky. It's classic and hard as hell to avoid falling into the lava below. There's a part in this stage where you can take advantage of the platform gun. The lava flowing down here will kill you if it touches you. You can either try to time your jump perfectly, or you can use the platform gun to skip it. Fireman is a pain in the ass. I'm serious, I never bothered to figure out his pattern because it's so horribly difficult to avoid and so erratic that I just equip the Eye Slasher and hope I kill him first. Seriously, the fire he shoots is twice the height of Mega Man. How the hell are you supposed to avoid that? Bomb Man stage is a regression in difficulty. It's nothing too complicated, just time your jumps carefully, you should be fine. Bomb Man himself is not really that difficult. He shoots bombs at you and he likes to jump around a lot. Really, I don't know why this is, because you'd think with a guy like Bomb Man, he has highly explosive material with him all the time, he might want to take things, I don't know, a little slower. Why is that? In every video game that has a guy that throws explosives, he's psychotic and likes to jump around a lot. That's a sure way to get yourself killed, isn't it? Anyway, just use Firestorm twice or maybe 3 times on this guy and he's dead. No big deal. And now we get to the final stages of the game, Dr. Wily's lair. Now the game is pretty easy up until this last point. At first, the game's a lot like running through wet paper towels. You can breeze through it in under an hour. But then Capcom decided to replace the last wet paper towel with a brick wall. Once again, the levels aren't too spectacular. They're actually pretty average for platformers of the time. Really, there's only a few dicey spots you have to worry about. But Dr. Wily's guardian robots? That's a different story. The first one you run into is this rock monster pain in the ass. He likes to fire one shot at you and then switch sides. If you don't know the Elec Man trick, now's the best time to explain it. If you fire the Thunder Beam and pause the game at the right time, you can cause the enemy to take multiple hits. The timing is a bit difficult, and unless you're playing on an emulator with the speed slowed down, you're only going to get 2 or 3 hits out of this max. Thankfully, this guy is weak against the Thunder Beam, so you should be able to take him out after practicing your jumps. The next stage is a killer. That opening bit where you have to jump around these floating heads took me forever to figure out. Basically, you have to kill the one flying up top, but lure the one on the bottom back a bit so you can safely jump the gap. From here, you'll fight Cut Man, and then go on to another platforming section and fight Elec Man. Now, it's this next platforming section that's kind of dicey. See, these bombs fly up from the bottom of the screen, explode, and then little pieces of shrapnel hit the ground. You have to avoid the shrapnel and then make your jumps. It's kind of tricky, but if you wait and you're a little patient, you'll be able to do it. From there, you can start climbing down. Now, in this climbing section, if you ever find yourself stuck in a position, try using the Thunder Beam to kill the floating robots, because it shoots out in 3 directions, unlike every other weapon you have. It makes things just a little bit easier. Oh, I'm sorry, have I skipped over things as if they were easy? Let me rephrase that. You've got to not only do a platforming section and then fight Cut Man, do another platforming section and fight Elec Man, do another platforming section and fight a boss. You have to do this with 1 health bar. The minute you die, you get sent back to the beginning of the stage. Yeah. Your next opponent is... you! Yeah, you get to fight your clone. Isn't that a lot of fun? I've never really found a surefire way to beat this guy. The only thing I did find out is that when you have Firestorm equipped, he tends to jump back a lot more than if you had any other weapon equipped. I'm not quite sure why that is, but I found that the Firestorm is most effective because he's not jumping directly into you, so hell, use that and kill him. The next part of Dr. Wily's lair is ridiculously easy, up until you get to the stage boss. You see, it's very linear at that point, you don't really have to worry about dying too much. But the stage boss? Huh. Let me tell you something I learned about this guy. He's a bastard in a protective bubble. I've never found a good way to beat this guy. When you first come up to him, he's gonna have 4 bricks on the floor in a triangle pattern. I thought, hey, you know what, I got Gutsman's power, I'll throw the bricks at him. Well, guess what? It doesn't kill him. Yeah, it only hurts him slightly. And what happens when you die? Well, the bricks don't respawn, which means you're gonna have to try and jump over this guy with a platform gun. And believe me, jumping over this guy is a pain in the ass because he moves at lightning fast speeds. Your best bet, I think, is to keep the bricks around and just hit him with your Mega Buster. With the bricks, you can actually jump over the guy so you won't have to worry about getting hit all the time. You're gonna replay the game a lot, just getting up to this bastard and dying and dying and dying. Of course, when you do kill him, it's oh so sweet. The final part of the game can take some time to get through, unless you're smart enough. See, there's this one section with an almost impossible jump. I swear, you need the reflexes of God himself to make this jump without any help. Here's how a normal person does it. Jump on the moving platform, then jump on the block. From there, fire your platform gun. Jump on the platform, then jump down onto the moving platform. Believe me, it is much easier this way. From here, you'll face the rest of the Robot Masters, including Bomb Man, Fireman, Iceman, and Gutsman. Oh, and did I mention you're gonna have to beat all 4 of these Robot Masters with 1 health bar? Yeah, a health bar that's pretty much depleted at this point. Sure, you might know how to kill these guys, but 1 or 2 hits from any single one of them and you're guaranteed to die. And guess what? You go back to the beginning of the stage. Isn't that fun? After you beat Gutsman, you'll face Dr. Wily. He's not that hard if you know what to do and how to avoid his damn projectiles. In his first form, his projectiles are going to land wherever you're standing, so you have to be on the move constantly to avoid getting hit. You're going to need to shoot the big red punching bag in the front of his spaceship. Now, you can use Elec Man's Thunder Beam here, but it's not very effective. I'd save that for the second form. Your best bet in the first form is to use Firestorm. It'll take off a nice chunk of Dr. Wily's health. In the second form, your best option is to use the Thunder Beam. I never really found anything that he was particularly weak to in this form, but the Thunder Beam seemed to hit him 2 or 3 times without cheating. It'll take off more life than most of the other weapons, but it still won't do a whole lot of damage. Just avoid the big homing bouncing ball that Dr. Wily shoots, then make him bow to you like he's your bitch. Yeah. Well, that's Mega Man, folks. You know, it took me 20 years to beat this game. Yeah, I beat the second one. I played the hell out of the second one, but it had a password feature. This one, not so much. I put the first one down, picked up the second one, and never looked back, but you know what? I'm glad I finally beat it. Still, you know, these old NES games are fun to beat, but I think maybe I'm gonna need to move into the 16-bit era for a little bit.